In this video, I'm going to show you how to create an image gallery in your HTML code. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with opening up the basic structure of a site. So I'm just going to open up one of my recent files, basic structure. Here we go. And what we're going to do is we're going to first put a name on this site. All right, so let's say in the title tags, we're going to do image gallery. All right, then we already have a style sheet up here because I've already set that up. Okay, so in the body, what we're going to do is I'm going to put a heading 1, and we're going to call this, we're going to put this is our image gallery. All right, we're going to close the heading 1. Okay, so if we save this, let's save this as let's save it as image gallery. We'll put a little dash because I already have one as that name. Okay, so we'll put image gallery. All right, and we're gonna open that up, but we're gonna open it up on this side. All right, so right now we have a heading, and I didn't do the doc type declaration correctly, so let's do it again and refresh. All right, so we have a heading 1, H1, that says this is our image gallery. All right, below that we're going to start with the image gallery itself. Okay, and if you go back to the PowerPoint, you'll notice that there are to create this that you have to use multiple divs. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is create a container div, which just means it's going to house the couple different elements within it. All right, which would be the image, the link, right? The image as a link, and then the other thing it's going to house is the text box that goes beneath the image. Okay, so we're going to call this div, we're going to name it with a class. We're going to call it gallery. All right, we do this with the class attribute, and we put quotes around the name, and then we go to the next line. All right, so now to make the image a link, all images that are links have to go within the A tag, right? The A link tag, so that they can be clicked on. So we're going to do an A tag. All right, and we're going to put href equals quotes. All right, and then I have named my images simple names. They're just images of New York City. So as you can see here, we have lower, this is for lower Manhattan, this one's for Hudson. There's a couple others on my desktop, but we're just going to link the image to basically just an image. So when you click on it, it'll just open it up in a new tab all by itself. All right, so the first one, let's say liberty.jpg. Okay, so now we have the A tag. Now we need within it, before we close it with the closing A tag, we need an image tag. So we do img, we do src equals source, again, same thing, liberty.jpg. All right, so this line right here is telling the web browser what the image is called on my computer. All right, and then this right here is saying what should be opened when you click on it in a link, and it's just going to open it in a new tab. And actually, in order for it to open it in a new tab, instead of taking us away from our current website, it's going to open it in a new tab. What we need to do is put the target attribute equals underscore blank, and that just means that it's going to open it up into a new tab. This line right here just says to the web browser, open this link, which is this, into its own tab. Don't take us away from our current website. All right, and so now we have an image tag. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to set the width using the width attribute, and we're going to set it to 600 pixels. Okay, and then we're going to set the height as well using the height attribute, and we're going to set the height to 400 pixels. Okay, so now we have our image tag. The image tag is right there. Okay, it's going to sit within the opening A tag and our closing A tag. Okay, so within our div right here, which we haven't even closed yet, which is my fault. All right, within our div, we have an A tag for the link, an image tag within the link, so that it will act as the link, and then we have a closing A tag. So what we need to do now is add a description. So if we save this, before we do that though, if we save this and refresh, this is what our first div is going to look like. Okay, so, and actually let's take away the px and just do that, and nothing changed. Okay, just wanted to see something. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to add the div below for the description, which will sit below this. Okay, so we're going to do a div, and we're going to call this div the description. So description. Okay, and I did a plus sign instead of an equals. So description will close with the closing bracket, and then what we're going to have here is, this is an image of the Statue of Liberty, and we'll go in and make that capitalized. Quote, we'll put a period there, and then what we're going to do is we're going to close this div. Okay, and now when we save it, we're going to have a caption, essentially. All right, we're going to have a caption. Now, the reason this has no border currently is because we have no CSS. We have no style sheet here. The style sheet right now is blank. All right, so what we're going to go and do is, before we even create the style sheet, what we're going to do is I'm going to copy this code. All right, it's important that when we use HTML and we use CSS, we don't make too much work for ourselves. All right, so what we're going to do is copy this. If we want multiple images to come up, multiple images right in our image gallery, which is the whole nature of it, we're going to just paste this a few more times. And that way, all we have to do, now we have the code typed or pasted in, all we have to do is go back and change these file names. All right, so I mentioned that the first one was liberty.jpg. This is a picture of Hudson Yards, the new building complex that they have in New York City. This is a picture of Lower Manhattan. This is a picture of the Empire State Building, so I called it ESB. All right, so let's go in and change that real quick before we add some CSS. Okay, so this second one's going to be called esb.jpg. I'm just going to make sure that that's the right file format. No, it's the full JPEG. Okay, so let's change that to JPEG. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing here. ESB, we'll make this JPEG. All right, so now we have our second div. We didn't have to type that much. All we had to do was, paste it in. Why is there a problem here? Okay, so and the other thing is we're going to just change this to the Empire State Building. All right, we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to call this Hudson. All right, we're going to call this Hudson. And I think that's the right file format automatically. Hudson.jpg, absolutely. Okay, that's the third one. This is an image of Hudson Yards. Okay, so we're almost done. We're just going to change this fourth one, and I'm forgetting at the moment. Oh, lower is the fourth one for Lower Manhattan. So we're going to change that to lower.jpg, and let me just make sure that this is the right format. Yes, lower.jpg, and then we're going to change it here to lower.jpg. And this is an image of Lower Manhattan. All right, I hope I spelled Manhattan right. Anyway, so let's save this up, and we're going to refresh. And now we have 4 images, okay? And we have also a caption on the bottom of each one. Okay, so it's important when you're thinking about this site, this image gallery so far, it's important to remember that these are divs. So this image plus this text box right here is a div together. This all the way through here, okay? This next one's a div, okay? So you start at the corner of the picture and you go to the text box, right? And the same thing here. We start here and go here, and this is our fourth one, and we go there. Okay, so we have 4 divs on this page right now, but we have no CSS, and that's the important thing. Right now on our page, we've created a couple different classes. First created a class right here. It's applied to 4 different divs. This is the gallery div. This applies to each div. So the styling of each div should look the same, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to create, in the style sheet, we're going to create a .gallery class rule set. And we're going to open up the curly brackets, and we're going to say the margin should be 5 pixels. All right, so they should be 5 pixels away from each other. And if you notice, it changed. Now there's a little bit more space here, and there's some more space on the bottom. So that's great, it worked. All right, the next thing to do is change the border. All right, we're going to put a border property in. We're going to say it should be 1 pixel, solid light gray. Light gray all be in one word. Okay, so we have a second declaration here. We have a first declaration with a property margin, value of 5 pixels. Second declaration with a border property and values of 1 pixel, solid light gray. All right, so if we save this, now we have a slight border. We have a slight border. And the problem with this though is that the div goes the entire length of the screen. So as you can see, when this scroll bar goes away, we have this div border is extending. That will be taken care of when we set a width to each div. All right, so we're going to do that right now. We're going to say no div should be more than 180 pixels wide. All right, we're going to save it, and now the border is smaller, but that's because we don't have a class for images yet. So we don't have a class saying that the image should fit within a div. All right, so what we don't have a rule set saying that the image should sit within a div. So we're going to create a rule set for images, and we're just going to say the width should be 100%, meaning it's 100% of the div. It takes up the full part of the div and nothing more. All right, and we're going to say height auto. Okay, save. All right, now you see that we have 4 images here. The bottom one's cut off, but I'll raise this up for you so you can see it. All right, so we have 4 images. We have 4 images and 4 descriptions, and we have 4 divs. So this is a div from this corner to this corner, and then this is a div from this corner to this corner. So they are together. All right, and real quick, what we have to do is just finish this gallery rule set, and we're going to say float left. And what this is going to do is that it's going to say if there's enough screen space, right, if there's enough screen space, these divs should float next to each other. If the browser's wide enough, they should float next to each other. So when we hit save, like I just did, Control S. Oh, I'm highlighting this. Hold up. When we hit save, these will float left. All right, and so that means if it's small like that, they'll wrap. If it is wide enough, they will sit on one line because they'll be floated to the left. So this one will be floated to the left, this one will be floated to the left of this, and this one will be floated to the left of all of them. Okay, so let's keep going here. We have the image rule set, we have the gallery rule set. These are done. All right, what I want to also do is just add a gallery rule set with a modifier. All right, so this is the gallery rule set when the mouse isn't hovered over it. Okay, and we're going to add a modifier to that rule set and say when the mouse is hovered, all right, when the mouse is hovered over the div, we're going to say the border should change from 1 pixel solid light gray to 1 pixel solid gray. All right, and then if we hit save, you should be able to see that when we refresh. Okay, so now if you notice, the border changes when you hover over it. When you hover over each one, the border changes to a darker gray to identify which one you're hovered over. All right, so that's that simple, guys. But you do have to create a new rule set for that because it's only when it's hovered over. All right, and the last thing that we have to do is create a rule set for the description div. Remember, we called that description. So this div right here, we're going to create a rule set for, and we called it description. So naturally, we have to put the description name after a period to identify that it's a class. All right, and we're going to put our curly brackets, and what we're going to do here is we're going to put a padding of 15 pixels. All right, and if you hear that squeaking, it's my dog playing with his chew toy. All right, anyway, so padding 15 pixels, text align. He's obviously not very considerate. He knows I'm talking about him. Anyway, text align center. And what that's going to do is it's going to make it look a little bit better. All right, so it's going to be a little bit bigger down here. Okay. And now we have a little bit more padding between this text and our border. All right, so that's pretty much it, guys. So we have right now an image gallery, and that's how you do it. All right. Here is the style sheet. All right, and here is the code. This is all on the PowerPoint if you need to look back. But this is how you do it. You put a container div essentially, and then you put a link with an image, and you put a div below it. And the thing about divs is that they each have to go on a different line. So when you do this, that ensures that this description here is going to go below it. All right, but it'll go below it within the master div, the gallery div. This whole thing is the gallery div. All right, and then this description nested div within it is just the description. All right, so thank you for watching. I hope you got something out of this video.